Today, I'm going to show you how to do the level 106 Pillage target for 0 damage. But more importantly, I'm going to show you the Triarii and the arcs. I'll start with the Triarii, so feel free to jump ahead to the halfway point in the video if you do want to see just the arcs. I'm also going to generally discuss why I don't really like how Kixeye has framed this event, but let's go ahead and get started. Hey everyone, Derpy here, and welcome back to another Battle Pirates video. Just starting out with the Triarii, and by the way, this is on 2x speed. I've got my fleet pretty well configured. I don't have all the new limited tech added, but there's a few things I'll be doing just to try and reduce my damage. There's a bunch of guaranteed damage in this target from the missile and UAV turrets if you cannot outrange them, which the Triarii can't. You can't really even do the splash technique that we've been doing where you just are barely able to sit in a safe spot. As you can see, taking out the first cluster, I've already taken a fair bit of damage. Moving towards the second cluster, I'm kind of demonstrating that even if you try to sneak up, you can't do it. I go ahead and get into range of the brimstone missile, and once you're in range of that, you have to move forward and kill it pretty much as quickly as possible. So that is something to be aware of. Against the third cluster, I'm again trying to sort of sneak up and outrange it, determine I can't, and rush into the brimstone missile. In retrospect, when things are clustered like that, you can actually just kill one turret and that will kill the entire platform, so there's no reason to rush into range of the very, very short range missiles like the one I'm killing right now, because you'll be able to splash out the UAV even if you just hit the close one. I did take damage with the close one there, as you saw. This brimstone missile is the hardest one for me to outrange any target with the arcs, which you'll see in the second half of the video, but with Triarii it's pretty easy, but you take pretty massive damage at least doing this. Again, the UAV also is going to chain a little bit, and I am using MDS-3 on the fleet. You only need 2 of them, maybe even 1 of them on the fleet would be fine. If you're using more than 2, you're doing it wrong and should change those to Gales instead. But the Triarii target is just about done once the last platform is here. Pretty easy, not too much difficult driving, but it's going to be pretty massive damage. I took a bunch. You can see penetrative, I have 2% taken, 38% resisted, so 40% resisted and taken, which is a ton, and of course I'm only doing explosive damage. 2 hours and 7 minutes of damage is a massive amount for a target you have to hit dozens of times in this event, and that's not even on auto. On auto, it would be horrible. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Arc Triarii combo fleet and see how we do instead. The most technical part of the target is actually at the very start, where I am using a special chaining trick here. Notice the ship I'm chaining on right now, the Berserker. As soon as it dies, I switch to the next one, so that all my UAVs add up together and chain onto the first missile turret. From there, the first big cluster is pretty easy to take out because you can chain onto the very, very short-range missiles and don't have anything to worry about there. When they go down, you can continue on for 0 damage pretty easily throughout the target. I do actually like to sneak forward a little bit, just make sure you are stopped when the enemy rockets are incoming, otherwise you will have a very bad day from those really, really long-range rocket turrets. Now, these first few platforms, nothing too much to worry about, you've seen this before. Where it gets much harder is against the brimstone missile you're going to see here. I take out the short-range missile, that's pretty easy, but the brimstone missile, I like to make sure I stop my fleet and just move ships 4 and 5 for me, which is my 2 arcs, keep the Triarii stopped so that if you accidentally go into range, which you'll see in a few minutes, you won't have too much to worry about. I'm going to take ships 4 and 5 and scoot them around just a very, very tiny bit, finger on that down button to stop even before my ships fire and take out the brimstone. As you can see, it is possible to outrange and generally have more luck coming from the top or the far left side of these as best I can. These 3 ships right here, leave them for later, don't take them out yet. It tends to mess up the chaining if you take them out now. Speaking of chaining, the next platform goes down completely fine. You can chain onto all of that, no worries. This is the hardest part. I'm going to jump from 2x speed to 4x speed for this. I like to take my 2 ships, again, ships 4 and 5, and try and sneak into range. I don't like to shift click the turret because if you do and accidentally go into range like I do a few times, several times actually, you won't see any warnings that it's about to fire. But what you're seeing me do right here is ducking in and out of range, so if it fires, I don't have to worry about it because I'll be out of range before it actually is over the fire and arc display. But I was able to actually stop at the very end here and take out a few training shots perfectly just like that without being in range of it. So it is possible to outrange, although it's very, very tricky. And I don't like how Kixeye has designed this target. In terms of old holes work better, but it takes way longer to do it, and you have to do it, 10 minutes per target, 4 minutes per target, whatever it is. You have to hit so many of them and drive so many of them. It's not really something I'm wanting to do. So that's sort of my thoughts on that. It's really tricky to take down those turrets, and it's way too hard. If it was a shorter range like they had it, or the Triarii was able to do the same thing of taking not massive damage from those, it would be a totally different story. But it's not. Now, if you want to watch this a few times, it does take me a little bit to get the path down sometimes. I believe this was about the 10th target that I hit, and was the first one I did for free, although I hit about 9 yesterday, and then this was the first one today. So it's totally possible to do. Go ahead and watch it another time if you want to see the path, and try it yourself. Just be very, very cautious when you're trying to get into range of those brimstone missiles, because they hurt a ton. So here you go, 5,000 points. I did record this one before the first half of the video, if you were wondering. I do the editing and stuff afterward. The build is shown here. I'm using only Gales. If I was actually doing this for real, I would use a few MDS3 just to be on the safe side, because you don't want a few mistakes to happen, and 1 or 2 MDS3s will certainly help. Actually, just 1 is enough. With that said, and until next time, I want to go ahead and say thank you to those whose folks appear on the end screen now. You can have yours there by joining the channel with the Join Channel member. Click that if you want to support the channel. With that said, and until next time, this is going to be Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.